Israel faced a tough week as the International Criminal Court requested arrest warrants for 3 Hamas leaders and for Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and his Defense Minister Yoav Gallant, all of them responsible, its Chief Prosecutor Karim Khan said, for crimes against humanity. The International Court of Justice, a UN body also based in The Hague, said Friday that Israel must halt its offensive in Rafah, although its decisions are not binding, of course. That ruling was part of its ongoing hearing on whether Israel is guilty in its war on Hamas of genocide against the Palestinians. My guest is Aryeh Neier. He is a giant in the world of human rights and a survivor of genocide himself. He was born a Jew in Nazi Germany. He and his parents escaped Berlin 2 weeks before the start of World War II. He went on to study at Cornell and then to co-found Human Rights Watch. He was at the forefront of the movement to establish the international tribunals, which eventually became the ICC and the ICJ. He's also the former head of the ACLU and the author of many books. He wrote a powerful piece in the New York Review of Books this month on the situation in Gaza. Thank you for joining us.
Very glad to do it.
Your name, Aryeh,
Yes.
is Hebrew.
It's a Hebrew name. It means lion.
Why did your parents give it to you?
Well, my parents were Zionists, and they wanted to give me a Hebrew name, even in Nazi Germany.
All the time you were head of Human Rights Watch, you, I think, only one time accused a country of genocide.
Yes.
Saddam Hussein's
Yes.
attempt to eliminate the Kurds.
The Kurds.
So when you say in this New York Review of Books piece that you have concluded that Israel is guilty of attempting genocide,
Yes.
that's a very heavy charge.
Yes.
What is the principal reason you say that?
Well, first let me say that when the South African case charging genocide was initially brought, I was not one of those who endorsed South Africa's argument of genocide. I didn't endorse it because I thought Israel had a right to retaliate against Hamas, and I thought Israel had a right to try to incapacitate Hamas so that it would never be able to do anything like that again. But I was disturbed by some of the actions of Israel, by the use of very large weapons, 2,000-pound bombs, which are utterly inappropriate in a crowded urban area. A bomb like that can kill somebody 600 feet away or 2 football fields away. And using bombs like that was inappropriate in the context of Gaza. But still, I didn't think that Israel was engaged in genocide just because of the effort to retaliate against Hamas, even though I thought Israel went far overboard in the way of its retaliation.
So what changed your mind then?
What changed my mind was that over a period of time, Israel has obstructed the delivery of humanitarian assistance to Gaza. And those who have been most severely victimized are not the members of Hamas. Men with guns ordinarily find a way to get food and to get fed. But it is young children who are most severely damaged by malnutrition and who will either starve to death or, if they survive, they will be diminished for the rest of their lives, diminished physically and psychologically by the severe malnutrition they are enduring as children. And I thought that severe obstruction of the delivery of humanitarian assistance amounted to genocide.
The Israeli case is multifold, but let me suggest one angle that I've heard people take, which is in the beginning there was a kind of Israeli rage. And there's that famous quote of Defense Minister Gallant. He says, "I have ordered a complete siege on the Gaza Strip. There will be no electricity, no food, no fuel. Everything is closed. We are fighting human animals and we act accordingly." But that over time, they did start letting food and fuel in, and they have not, there might have been a period where they said and did things like that, but that was brief and it has ended.
The amount of food and the amount of water and the amount of fuel they have allowed in is entirely inadequate to deal with the 2 million, more than 2 million people who live in Gaza. And the USAID Administrator, Samantha Power, testified before Congress that famine had set in Gaza. The head of the UN World Food Program has said that full-blown famine is underway in Gaza. Destroying the farms, destroying the greenhouses in Gaza, killing a large number of aid workers who were involved in the distribution of food, challenging the ability of the UN agency that has been principally involved in distributing food to continue that activity, and persuading the United States and other governments to cut off funds from that agency. All those things have had a cumulative impact on the availability of food and water and electricity and medical supplies in Gaza.
Prime Minister Netanyahu says that the IDF, the Israeli army, is actually scrupulous and very moral in the way it handles these things. It tries very hard. What do you say about that?
He says that. I don't think others would say that. At this moment, there are settlers in the West Bank area who are interrupting trucks taking humanitarian assistance into to Gaza. They are attacking the truck driver, spilling the contents of trucks carrying humanitarian aid. The Israeli defense forces have not intervened in order to prevent the settlers from engaging in sabotage of that sort in delivering humanitarian assistance. The Israeli Defense Forces have aided the settlers, and a very large number of Palestinians in the West Bank have been killed in the past few months, often with the Israel Defense Forces either standing by or directly participating in attacks on Palestinians in that area.
There are Israeli officials and people who feel passionately on the subject who say the reason these warrants are particularly unjustified is because Israel has a process, a judicial process, to look into abuses of its army. It's a democracy.
The statute for the International Criminal Court is based on the principle of complementarity. Complementarity means that if a government actually, in good faith, conducts an investigation itself of abuses that have been committed and takes action itself to punish those who may have been engaged in abuses, the ICC should step back. But in the case of Israel, there is no indication that there has been any effort by the Israeli authorities to conduct an investigation of the abuses committed in Gaza.
Do you think in the past have they done it? Do you have confidence in the Israeli system?
No, I don't have confidence in the Israeli system. There have been many abuses over the years, and there has not been appropriate investigation and punishment of those who have been responsible for abuses.
Prime Minister Netanyahu says that this prosecutor is anti-Semitic and is feeding anti-Semitism.
You know, the use of the term anti-Semitism to attack those who criticize Israeli policies degrades the concept of anti-Semitism. Anti-Semitism has been a great scourge, but it doesn't insulate the Israeli government from being held to the same standards that other governments have to be held to around the world. The Israeli government has been very comfortable with certain anti-Semites. Prime Minister Netanyahu, for example, has cultivated a relationship with Viktor Orban, the Prime Minister of Hungary, and I think it's appropriate to consider Orban an anti-Semite. But to charge the International Criminal Court with anti-Semitism is, I think, absurd.
For you, as somebody, a Jew who escaped Nazi Germany, it's a weighty charge to accuse Israel of genocide.
It's a terrible thing to accuse anyone of genocide, but it's a more terrible thing that genocide should take place. In my view, Jews are only going to be safe if everyone's rights are respected, and the rights of Jews are respected along with the rights of everyone else.
Aryeh Neier, at 87 years old, you're certainly still going strong. Thank you
very much.